Yes.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Leaf Nation wanted answers off their Game 7 loss Saturday, and you came to us for them. 25,000 views on Sportsnet's YouTube channel of our show yesterday.
That's good.
And over 1,000 likes, Sammy. They were all for you as well.
I needed every single one of them.
Still not quite picked up.
I still need, yeah. I'm even madder today after everything. Like I'm just in a constant
These are
state
the
of,
stages of grieving.
yes.
It's natural.
Yep, there you go.
Well, we're still around. The Leafs may be out, but we're still around, and we're
Thanks
glad
for watching.
you're along for the ride, whether it is on our Sportsnet YouTube channel, Sportsnet 590 The Fan, or the podcast. We hope you're sticking around, you're watching, you're listening, subscribing on our iTunes and Spotify, because plenty still more to talk about, including the Leafs addressing the media today after their loss in the first round. Besides talking about on ice, boys, closer to the heart here is that Mitch Marner was the victim of a carjacking in Toronto Monday, and a lot of players in the media were asked about that. And first and foremost, to Mitch Marner and his family, we're glad you're okay.
For sure.
And
That's awful.
Doesn't put a lot of faith for me in things that continue to go on in this world, man. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
That's got to be
terrifying
I was going to
experience,
say
man.
that's got to be an awful thing to go through for somebody. Gunpoint. That's no fun. So all the best to Mitch.
Not
And
having an awesome week.
very understandable why he wasn't at the availabilities today. I don't think he'd be
100%.
looking at all those people after something like that happened. So just glad that we had to get that out of the
Well,
way.
we got plenty to get into and chew off the bat. We also have Elliot Friedman, I think, in the second hour. And I think recently Elliot's been talking a little bit about maybe what he expects to happen in the offseason, including looking for a Kawhi Leonard type of move by the Leafs,
Yep.
a.k.a. what the Raptors did to change it up. I really want to get into that with him. And you think a little bird whispered something to him, or is this Elliot just trying to be Elliot?
I know. I'm like really looking forward to asking him, because what could that possibly mean? It's hard to make any deal in this league, let alone a monster one. But hey, I get the idea. They're looking at everything. We'll ask Elliot.
Well, if the mandate today by the Toronto Maple Leafs and their management team was to make no headline mistakes,
And it was.
then mission accomplished. No,
No,
Come on.
we're not letting him skate on today.
You saw something. Did you see headline mistakes?
No.
Did you see anything that anybody can grasp and run with? Because I think they just played it completely to the T on the things that we talked about yesterday and what we could expect out of a management voice. And sure enough, it was exactly the way we nailed it yesterday.
This is exactly the problem with PR now today. With the way PR works, is that they spent the whole time trying to not say anything of substance at all, so they didn't have to hear about it again.
Guess what?
What's that?
It worked.
I know. Well, listen, they spent all that effort trying not to say anything, instead of just connecting with the people and the frustration and answering questions. There's this effort to unify a message of like, okay, somber tone, keep it together, see what, just say something sucked or was awful or was great, or like, no one had a thought that was anything outside of this safe zone.
Guess what, guys? The Leafs have now lost in however many straight years in the first round of the playoffs, but it's all fine. Everything is perfectly fine.
And it just pisses people off.
Progress. We're just so happy with Sheldon Keefe and all the progress. There's been no progress. It's the same conversations over and over.
Everything's great.
I told McKee this before the show.
If I was Brendan Shanahan and Kyle and Sheldon, why would I go up there and give you any other reason than what I said today? Well, why would I feed the beast?
Because it's not about feeding the beast as much as like people not thinking you're crazy. So one of the clips we're going to play today, and maybe I shouldn't get ahead of it. Do you want to play the Kyle Dubas clip on
the Shanahan one?
Or the Shanahan one?
Yeah.
Let's go to the top then. Let's start.
Okay.
Let's start. We've got a few. Kippers, Clippers.
We're loaded.
We're loaded for bear here. So let's go to Brendan Shanahan.
This one's a little longer. It's about minute 40. So just it's a
take
question
deep
and an
breath.
answer. So
Get
I'll
some
do the same.
popcorn and listen to the Shana plan.
Brendan, you've worked with Kyle now, I think going on 8 years or something like that. And Kyle, you and Sheldon are kind of joined at the hip. To what degree are all these first-round failures putting a strain on those relationships, would you say?
There's a bunch of, you can make a lot of jokes about that, sleeping in separate bedrooms and things like that, but I'll stay away from that. I think when you go through those disappointments, as much as winning can bring people together, and we've, for some of us who've been fortunate to experience that, it's absolutely true. I think learning how to deal with, the heartbreak and devastation of falling short, depending on what kind of relationship you have, can bring you close together as well. And to share some of those disappointments, not just with Kyle and Sheldon, but with our players who have now been here, to have our fans back in the building this year. I know we had a little bit of a pause there due to COVID in the regular season. But to see our fans and the support that they gave us, and to have that back, Sheldon had mentioned after game one that our fans were the first stars of the game, and it was something that we were all talking about after that game. It was something our players were talking about. I don't know that in my time here I've ever seen and experienced in my time here where our players feel so connected to our fans. So again,
Brilliant, if you ask me. Sucking up to the fans.
Well, that is very political.
So very political, because he was asked a question about something and then just talked about the fans.
Yeah.
So how can you say that they're the most connected to the fans? Where do you we have a show, we talk about the Leafs every single day, 3 to 5 on the station. How many times do we have a player on the station?
Good. Matthews on 0 times.
Yeah.
Do we have? We had
No,
Jack. We had Jack Campbell once.
They're not
We
interested in
Bunting once. So 2 times in 160 shows we
Yeah.
had players on the station.
Yeah, it's like pulling teeth.
So, but then you say that the fans have never been so connected to the Leafs.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I feel like there's
Well,
never been a bigger look at the ratings for
it's
the show. The ratings went down
Yeah.
this year.
It's our doses, right? We control the doses of how much you connect with us.
Right. It's on their terms,
It's
right?
on their terms.
And so 2 things I think piss people off about that sort of thing. First off, when you get asked a question, no one wanted to see any hint of smugness or smirking or laughing off questions. This is a time for a little humility to face it head on.
Yeah.
And I don't think people like the way that went multiple times today. And also, can we pull the safety net out from these, when Willie and all these guys were in the Marlies, they didn't have to do interviews because all they're rookies, right? First time pro, we just want them to experience this. They only played 2 games when the team would play 3 and 3, a lot of protection. These guys are old now, Kipper, like 26 for
Yes.
Willie, whatever. Can we say we don't know if we're keeping any of them? We're not winning. Can we say we have no idea who's coming back right now?
Yeah.
We have to see what's available for anyone.
I think it's too late for that. I think you're establishing that it's what you're saying is an admission of guilt, of wrongdoing.
Don't they owe an
Right?
admission of that?
No, they're tripling down now. They're quadrupling down.
It just
Right? We're
Septuple?
we're on the right path. We've been on the right path. it's only taking us 7 years to do it. That's what you got out of today.
Right.
There's two things that come to mind out of what I heard today, and it was very similar to what I felt after the same damn thing we watched last year after Montreal, is the accountability factor of losing in the first round again. Where's the account? Like, who has to pay for something like this, where it's a storied franchise that's supposed to go far in the playoffs? It's had one of the best cores they've ever had, and a sense of entitlement. I'm sorry,
Entitlement's a word that's come up.
That's how I feel.
I'm not debating that at all. And I was born and raised in this town. I grew up a Leaf fan. I got lucky enough to play in the National Hockey League, and then I got traded to Toronto Maple Leafs. So I've seen it from the outside, and I've seen it from the inside. And there is something about once you're in as a Leaf that you love. It doesn't matter, win or lose. Doesn't matter. Because people are going to love you. And it's almost as if you don't want to let that go. Jason Spezza, for me, is a perfect example of that, where no one could squeeze more out of being a Toronto Maple Leaf in 5 minutes than Jason Spezza has.
Guy is, he's
right?
Leaf legend Jason Spezza, who also played for Ottawa.
He's a Leaf legend.
I forgot he even played for the Sens.
Right?
Did he play for the Sens?
Oh, God.
He is a Leaf legend who's never got out of the first round either. And
imagine if he shot one in Game 6.
We heard from Jason Spezza today. Can we? And this goes back to the whole entitlement, or just have a listen to Jason Spezza.
It's too, like we finished 2 days ago. So I love the game. I've always maintained that if I can provide significance to the group, if I'm a contributor every night, then I want to play. So there's conversations that have to be had, with me and management and coaches, but this is the only place I would play. So the conversations will happen over the coming days and weeks, and right now it's more about reflecting just on what happened, why we lost, what needs to happen.
See, Jason Spezza loves being a Maple Leaf more than he loves playing the game. And he says, I love playing the game. I love the game. But when you tell me that I'll only do it if I'm a Leaf, tells you how much players love being here, and it should be the other way around. You should love the game more than being a Maple Leaf.
I'm trying to wrap my head around what you mean by this.
I'm saying that there is a comfort. You're so comfortable being a Leaf. You love everything about being a Leaf. And no matter what decade you played, what generation you were, you know that being a Leaf, whether you win or lose, is irrelevant, because they're always going to kiss your ass in this town.
To be clear, this is not about Jason Spezza, but the cons, because to me, he's the least entitled.
Just about being a Leaf and just certain entitlements when you become a Leaf.
Right.
And
the goal is to stay a Leaf.
The goal is
more
to
than
stay
winning.
a Leaf. And of course, we all fantasize about winning a Stanley Cup, and I was like that as well. But even when you don't, even when you miss the playoffs, even when you lose 6 in a row in the first round, I'd rather be a Leaf or retire than go someplace else. That is a issue in itself for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting statement. And, a lot of hockey is like this once you're in the front office. The goal is to keep jobs more than win. Like, the Stanley Cup is amazing because it helps you keep these jobs. There's only 32 GM jobs. Your goal is to stay employed.
It is a fantastic place to play, even when you stink.
Yeah.
And that is, from generation, you want to call it blue and white disease? It's followed every general manager,
it's
every
funny because it
coach.
seems like they got that out of here.
No, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's from the top to the bottom.
There.
Yes.
And there's not one guy that says, listen, you guys are a bunch of morons. I'm getting out of here. You know, and did Zach Hyman do it? Of course, he went with the biggest contract, but he could have signed for less. He could have done a lot of different things to remain. Some guys, how badly do you want to be a Leaf? Like, to the point where, is that more important than anything above anything else, including winning?
Doesn't this all feel like it comes down to, so I was telling Sam before the show that I got an email from my son's teacher because he did something in the schoolyard today I told him he shouldn't be doing. And I thought of the William Nylander contract. Like, if you don't punish someone right away, then, you know, you're going to set a bad precedent. The Nylander deal and settling at that last minute really set the tone, did it not, for like that we were going to bend over and do whatever we could for this team to keep these guys here, to get these guys, and whatever you want.
Is this market truly, and I think Brendan touched on this, and he talked about it as a broader sense in Canada, but over the last few years, and I include today, did the media really hold anybody accountable today? Like,
shouts to Luke Fox, who was awesome.
I heard a couple of decent questions today, but I also heard a lot of just fluff, man. And you're not pushing them. Nobody pushed Kyle today. Nobody pushed Brendan. Nobody pushed the players to really be accountable on how the hell do you miss the playoffs every year, and why are you still the guy? Why are you still the guys to lead the Leaf Nation to the promised land?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you get a chance for 7 years when you failed 6 other times? Like, no real hard accountability questions today. Did you get that sense?
No, I agree. I agree.
They were pushed.
No, I thought that Luke asked a couple of really pointed questions that gave us stuff
So
that
why
we're going
wouldn't
to
you
play
want to
today.
stick around here? Why wouldn't you want to be a Leaf forever, like Jason Spezza wants to be still? I don't blame him. It's a great place. Even when you stink, it's a great place. People will, love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's where we are. I think when this is all said and done, Kyper, is everyone's staying. They're even the comment about not considering. Do we have the Dubas comment on coaching change?
Yeah,
potential.
Yeah, because obviously one of the questions that was asked by we'll say it was Steve Simmons, who I don't think was there for the players, but he was there for the management, and he asked about having DeBoer and Trotz on the market, if that changes how you feel about your coaching situation. We can play that clip now if we have it.
Yeah.
Well,
let's do that.
I can't. It hasn't necessarily crossed my mind at this point, Steve. And I think my reason for that is my belief in Sheldon and the job that he's done here so far. But also that I only think Sheldon's going to continue to get better. And I think when we speak of Sheldon in 10, 15 years from now, it'll be in the same way that you just spoke of those two great coaches. And, I think that'll be played out here in Toronto.
Huge compliment, by the way.
Buddy, say what you want to say about Kyle. Talk about putting your balls on the line. He puts his balls on the line for everybody all the time. Like, that's one thing you can't fault Dubas for, is intense loyalty.
No, or you can fault him for that. Listen, I don't think you should fire Keith.
Listen, I'm a loyal guy.
all.
I've had like 2 or 3 jobs in my life. I stick with things for way too long. I've loved the Leafs for my whole life. Like, it's just, I'm a loyal person. So I respect the loyalty, but like, to say that he's good, like, that is such a high compliment.
But I said,
if you're all along preaching, and this is just not Kyle, it's every general manager. The tagline is we're gonna do and look at everything possible.
That's what I
to
mean
make
by
ourselves
removing the
better.
safety net.
So if that's the case, then how has it not crossed your mind?
Hasn't crossed my mind. It's like, what do you mean? Barry Trotz, he just won a Stanley Cup a few years ago. He just willed the Islanders to the conference finals 2 years in a row. It should probably cross your mind, the idea that there's great coaches available. And listen, I am not a fire Keefe guy at all.
Yeah, I'm not there. And I agree with Kyle. He's getting better. the only question is it going to be fast enough? Is he getting better fast enough to win a championship when you're on the clock here?
Yeah.
And that's always been, like, I have a lot of friends in my life that are always kind of on the side of, you entrusted a maybe the most important window of Leafs hockey in the franchise's history. Very, very important with all these great players to borderline rookie general manager, rookie head coach. Like, it's a huge part of the franchise's history that's been entrusted to guys that have never really done it before. And listen, I'm not saying you have to hire old hockeymen to do it, but boy, if this doesn't work out, you're going to look back on that and be like, man, that was a risk that did not pay off.
Twice it was referenced that Kyle Dubas and Sheldon were joined at the hip. And we heard a little tongue-in-cheek comment from Brendan Shanahan, but I think also Kyle jumped in there and spoke of it as well.
I don't think we have it.
No, I don't want it. I'm just referencing it. And it's gonna all those references are really suggesting is, could you fire your best friend?
Yeah.
That's really the question that, again, somebody couldn't figure out how to kind of mask that question.
Right.
But it should have been asked.
It's a good point. I don't know how you'd phrase it exactly. But
I don't know. It's not the way I just referenced it. That's for sure. But that's where it was kind of pushed, but no one went there.
Yeah. So we do have the one, I think, Keefe on Dubas relationship. We have that one. Why don't we do that one? Because they scrap like brothers, like, in the basement before their parents yell at them. Let's listen to that one.
I don't think it's put any strain on the relationship necessarily. Obviously, we continue to push and challenge each other. That's been the foundation of our relationship from our early days working together in Sault Ste. Marie, is how we can push and challenge one another and have open discussions and be as honest as you can be, and without fear of anything else getting in the way or distracting us from what we need to do, which is to find a way to get our team to play better and find our way through these moments.
So I think that's what was lacking with Dubas and Babcock initially, is that Dubas couldn't go in there and say, listen, you putz, put these guys on the ice and have the other guy go back and forth. You couldn't, right? Not with Bab's ego.
And Babcock would punch you out of the room.
And I've been there when those two, Dubas and Keefe, have gone at it. And I remember Keefe yelling back at him like, listen, big mouth, if you've got a better idea, like talk, because Dubas is on about the power play or whatever. They do. They spat.
They spat.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
That's essentially it.
Which is probably no different than two brothers that are really close. And it's like, I can tell my brother to F off.
Right.
But the moment you tell my brother to F off, I'm coming after you.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
That's the relationship. And
I think it's productive.
If he really, really thought that the Leafs would be better off with Barry Trotz next year, could he do it?
Love that. I love the question. And at the very least, you should say, well, it's something we've considered because there's some great coaches available out there. But, we're going to take, I don't know.
Ron Wilson and Brian Burke were pretty good buddies, weren't they? When Berkey had to fire Ron Wilson.
They've got a long history.
Yeah. So, there is a precedent, obviously. I don't know.
I also think there's a precedent where the president or the ownership comes to you and says, you either do something here or you both get to go.
Yeah. But, I have to sit here and say now that we've gone through all of this, if the same thing happened next year, why is there any indication that anything would be different? After last year, and then coming back and doing it again after last year, and it's still the same thing. Why, as a fan, would I sit down and watch 82 games next year?
So here's
what's
the
difference?
Didn't we go through that with this year's 82 games being meaningless? All they care about is the first round. We did that already.
We did that.
Yeah, but
so is the record skipping?
Yes,
next year
big
really
time.
Doesn't matter. But I guess with these guys and saying that last year and going back at it again for another crack this upcoming season, who does it fall on? Doesn't it just move up the chain at that point? Like for Shanahan to say we can't do this?
Here's where I wonder is that once you get past Brendan Shanahan, who's paying attention?
Larry Tannenbaum's not probably. I'm guessing MLSE is. I don't know. I mean,
you would
I have
know
no
better than
idea.
me, but like I have no idea how the inner workings
I
go
don't
there.
I don't know, but it's just I think for
And
these
I
fans,
don't know. I don't know
I
who's
think the
paying
question
attention.
for-
I have no idea.
for Leafs fans is like, okay, so you want to do something, you want to blow it up. Who's it going to be? What is the solution? And I'm not saying I have one. I'm saying that what you should hear right now from these guys is you're pursuing options to do something different. We are looking into, we are thinking about, we cannot have this the same. That's all I want to hear.
I believe if there was a single owner, we'd be hearing a different song today.
Yeah.
If there was one,
Although they get a lot of home gates, 4 home gates
there
this
would
year in the
be-
playoffs.
if there
Bill
was a
Foley
Bill
was, I was going to
Foley,
say yes.
just one other person that would be listening to it and feeling it, and that's why it's such a double-edged sword when you have Bell and Rogers again, and maybe no different than the teacher's pension, where it's like it's their investment, and right now is
4 home gates in the playoffs. Pretty good.
is there anyone really wondering or doing the math on the gates that you've missed the last 6 seasons in the
But they get
playoffs?
gates every year, Kyper, in the playoffs. You're already in the right half of the league, You playing you get 3 a year. What have they got? 4 home gates last year,
Well,
this
what
year.
about-
I guess the pandemic.
What about
mattered.
12 gates?
Well, that'd
14
be,
gates?
Yeah, but that's not. You don't build that into your expectations, do you?
Well, especially not if you're Leafs management.
Did we play Dubas on changing the core yet?
No,
Okay.
because I think this is the most out of his willingness to change that we've got out of the 35 minutes that he
I don't
talked.
necessarily blame him, and I would be doing the same thing. I'd be backstroking today, and selling the same record I did last year.
This is the one that is the most, as to Sammy's point, in line with what I want to hear. This one is the closest to saying they would do something else. So
Okay.
let's play this one.
I don't view it just as a 4. I view the core of the group as much larger than that, and it's my job at the end of every year to evaluate whether we can improve the team. And if there's a way to improve the team, which involves someone who me or you or anyone would constitute as the core, it's my job to investigate that and determine whether it will make us a better team in the short run, long run, and then whether we want to do that. So that's the way that we'll handle the offseason. Maybe I've felt in previous gatherings like this that I needed to be more adamant because of the way that things have gone or different circumstances around some of the players at those times. But the way that I'll approach it is we'll sit down as a management group, look at our whole entire roster, similar to the question Steve just asked, look at who's available, what can we bring in, and our whole goal is going to be to make the team better. So different may gain some applause and some accolades because it's different, but if it's not better, then we're going to have a better chance of sitting here disappointed again. So everything that we do will be geared towards improving the group, and we'll look at everything possible to do that.
And he's on the clock.
That should have been the message from everyone, the thesis statement today. He's on the clock. What do you mean?
I'm just he's got to do that this summer.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to find all the right pieces, and he's got 12 months to save his job.
Yeah. I think you're right there this time. For sure. I don't think everyone would agree. The one thing that stood out to me there
Right?
too.
I guess.
I mean, that's where we are. We knew this.
But no, we knew it all this year. We had how many times we had the
I
goddamn
know.
conversation?
It was split. It was split. This time it's all 100%. And you could sense it in his voice. This year, it was debatable whether or not Kyle would we've talked about this on our show all season long. Is Kyle's job on the line? Some said yes, some said no. I never got that sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't either.
Right?
You know what did stand out, though, too, is him saying, I felt in the past I needed to be more adamant in his defense of the core 4 because of some of the circumstances surrounding those players, which means Marner and Matthews didn't score in that round, and they were getting crucified.
Yes.
And he felt like he needed to go out there and protect them in a big way, almost validating the way he went out there and said, these are our guys. And this year there was less of that in that one quote, which is good. Deep breaths.
I think right now for him, for Kyle, like you're covered under the 4. Was it perfect? No. Did Matthews underdeliver Saturday night in Game 7? Yes. He didn't have a Connor McDavid moment.
He was fine. Yeah.
He didn't. No,
You're
he's
right.
not fine.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't good enough. I'm not saying it was bad.
Right.
I'm just saying it wasn't nearly good enough.
Okay.
Connor had his moment in Game 7. Gaudreau had his moment. Panarin had his moment.
Connor had 14 points against Philip Deneau and Anze Kopitar. Remember Philip Deneau?
So it wasn't
The unbeatable Philip
it was not perfect, but Kyle got away with the core 4 being protected. So the thing that he got patted on the back the most this year, the Buntings, the Camps, the Kashas, the Engvalls, the Mikheyev, to me, they're the ones that let him down. They crushed him down the stretch. They were nowhere to be found.
No Bunting, no Kasha, no
Right.
Mikheyev, no Engvall,
So-
no fourth line, essentially.
So now he's got to go out there and do it again.
Yeah.
Right? So I look at our 90.
Camp was great,
I look at our 94 team, and we're leading the league in points. And Keenan screaming to Neil Smith, we're going to lose in the first round. And we got one of the younger, we got a Willie Nylander on our team. Tony Amonte. Remember him?
Mm-hmm, of course.
35, 40 goal scorer.
It's the best.
Great player.
Yeah.
Willie Nylander like. And Keenan's like, we'll never win with that guy. And you know what he does? He turns a top 4, 5, 6 player into 2 third liners in Noonan and Mateau.
They became relevant.
And for me, Saturday night, that was missing a Noonan and a Mateau.
A Nick Paul, you mean?
And today's generation, a Nick Paul.
Right.
So that's the pressure on Kyle now, is he's got to go out there and he's got to find another Bunting who may have about 30 more pounds on him.
Bunting, I have high hopes for him next year. Right? I mean, a second-year guy,
put him
in theory.
But put him in a third role. He can't play on a top line. Can't play with Matthews and
How many
and
games do you
Marner
think he plays with Matthews
in
and
the
Marner
Stanley
next year?
Cup playoffs? I'm talking about beating a team like Tampa Bay.
So you are drawing the conclusion from the injured Bunting that came back that he can't be in that spot in the postseason?
No, can't drive. Can't open up lanes.
Mm-hmm.
Not heavy enough to open up lanes. No one opened up lanes. Mikheyev didn't open up lanes. Engvall didn't open up lanes. No, there was no drive out of any of them when you needed it the most. They let you down.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that point. That, to me, getting to the inside is a major flaw. Like, just people who play on the inside of the traffic. You know, you heard Vasilevsky say, or who was it that said, I think it was Vasilevsky said everyone should wear 88. No, Cooper said everyone should be wearing 88. But Vasilevsky said, you could see the difference was in shot blocking. He said, if you look at a lot of the goals that were scored in me in this series, I couldn't see them. And he said, I think Toronto's plan was to get to the net. In game 6 and 7, it got real hard to get there.
There are guys that can get you into the playoffs, and there's guys that can advance you in the playoffs.
I usually hate that expression, but I don't mind it.
Try to find both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Kerfoot. Fine. Solid NHLer. But can you win with Kerfoot in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Can he drive? Can he open up lanes? Can he give you pushback? I didn't see it.
No. I guess it depends where he is in your roster. If you're playing him top six.
Well, they had him as a pretty important player all
Sure
year.
did. Sure did.
Yeah, I will say with the bunting thing, there were a few moments in Game 6 and Game 7 where I was like, God.
He makes the play to get it to Marner and Matthews for the 2-on-1 where they score the
He
winner,
does in
right?
Game 5.
Game 5.
Yeah, but the last there was moments where I was like, I just wish there was someone with a little bit more size even. Yeah. And that's what Hyman did. Hyman was the more size. He was the bigger guy that would, like
Could
you
drive.
said, the lane. But listen, they
and open up lanes.
And listen, they didn't score any goals with him on their line last year anyway. So who knows? Maybe it's the other two guys they have to talk about.
Also came in with 50 career NHL games and no NHL experience. Like he's going to come back better.
I think so too.
Okay, he will come back better.
I bet he plays in their top 6.
But to go from a guy where a lot of teams weren't even sure if he was a regular NHLer to now needing you to help win a Stanley Cup for 4 rounds in a prominent role. It's just too big of an ask, guys.
Well, I think,
on.
imagine if you put Michael
not his
Bunting
fault.
on Tampa Bay. What do you think their lineup looks like? Where is he in their 12? Michael Bunting. Not a chance is he in the top 6.
Isn't he with Hagel and Nick
exactly.
Paul
It's
and
Paul Hagel and Bunting.
Right.
It's something that looks like
Maroon
that.
and
Third line
Corey
guy.
Perry.
And you know what you say about that line? God, such an annoying line. They're so good. He's a good part
And
of
he's
the
a
third
pest.
line.
And he can draw a penalty.
He's not
and-
playing with Kucherov and Point, right?
That's right.
He's not.
That's right. So that's where Kyle's challenge will be again, to play money ball and Billy Bean and all the rest of it.
It's what he is supposed to do best. And he has been very good at it. David Kampf was unbelievable in that round. That's the best. He might have been the second best Maple Leaf in the whole series.
He was really good he was the best player in the bottom 6 by far. And he was good in the penalty kill. He shot how many shoot by Vasilevsky? He almost scored
2.
He almost scored right after in Game 7, right after Morgan Riley ties it. It comes down into their zone again, and Camp shoots it off the crossbar and out.
Last I checked was before Game 7, and Kampf was second on the Leafs in even strength shots.
Yeah.
Second, Matthews Kampf.
He was very good.
So he was very good.
Yeah.
Points to him.
Where do you want to go? Jack Campbell? Where do you want to go?
Probably should go to Campbell.
Sounds good.
All right. Jack spoke today. For sure, he was going to get asked about his contract situation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a listen to Jack Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly haven't had any time to think about it. I know it sounds funny, but just winning here means everything to me. And I love the city of Toronto. I love the fans, the support. My teammates are absolutely incredible. The coaching staff, really everything. So, obviously it's a tough loss. We were right there, and that's all I've had time to think about. But as far as negotiating and all that, that'll be up to Kyle and my agent.
Okay, we love you, Jack, but you're a horrible liar.
Just going through the whole year. Haven't thought about
Haven't thought about it. Haven't thought about it.
Oh, my contract, is that up?
I didn't even know that.
I haven't thought about
I
it.
appreciate him saying it. I do. I don't begrudge him that.
Honest, like, what is not to love about this guy?
I know. She was a golden retriever. Just adopt him.
Do we have one more, Jack?
Yeah, and it's a good question from Luke Fox off the top, and then what he says after. So,
all right.
Hit it here.
Jack, would you consider taking a little bit less than you might get elsewhere to remain in the league?
Like I said, I'm still dissecting the playoffs, and my mind's still thinking about that. And as far as me loving the city and doing everything I can to stay here, that's up to Kurt and Kyle to discuss.
Yeah, so he's
Kurt Overhart is his agent,
Mm-hmm.
who's referred to many general managers as Kurt Overcharge.
Oh, my God, really?
Makes sense.
Great news. Good start.
Don't think, and this is a whole new discussion here, but don't think that Jack will be giving the hometown discount. And maybe he does, right? When push comes to shove, because you do listen to how much he loves being here.
Yeah, but you got to say that. It's like, it's okay here.
No, he means it.
Yeah.
This is the part where he can't lie. Like,
Okay.
you can't, he's no good at faking sincerity.
Okay. All right.
He's not. He wants to be here. Now, can they play off of that? Can they prey off of that?
You know what? If I'm Jack Campbell, why is Toronto more appealing to me than the next city? Just, I'm asking genuinely. Like,
He loves the boys.
Loves the boys.
He loves
but
the boys
come
anywhere he
on.
is. He loves the boys at the YMCA's. He's cool.
Soupy.
They'll chat it anywhere.
Campbell's Soup is sending him boxes of or cans.
When he takes $1 million more a year, he can afford it.
Tim Hortons is sending him packages. And
listen, I think you'd find. I think he would have a really hard time going anywhere else and finding the love that he's been given.
I
from
agree.
Leafs Nation.
I agree that he would.
I agree.
But
And
listen,
it goes back to that blue and white disease I was talking about earlier with Jason Spezza. Like, I'd rather be a Leaf or retire. Even though I love the game, I love being a Leaf more.
Is a guy as sensitive as Jack comfortable living under the microscope for the next 4 years and the constant scrutiny, and you can never let up for a month or a week or whatever, than he would be playing for whatever, Dallas, just I'm picking random city. Does he want that for a guy who clearly feels the weight of it all when it's going wrong? I don't know.
That's also a great point.
They will, by September, they will have upgraded their goaltending situation.
You know, buy out Mrazek?
Something's happening.
If they buy him out, I think he's like $1 million on the cap next year.
And they're also, sorry, go ahead.
Million. Yeah. It's like $1.9 million, 1.4, 1.4.
Yes.
So 4-year buyout.
But the 1.4, you hope
you trade that eventually.
By then, the cap might be at 90, 92, which that's all you care about is stretching that.
Using the cap now during this window.
Buyoutable. I'll be shocked if he's back in a Leaf uniform.
And so tradable, the only reason you're worried about that is because you don't want to give up more assets, given what you've given up to take other contracts.
Yeah.
Would someone want Peter Mrazek at
Yes.
At 2.8 if you retain $1 million for 2 years instead of making it 4 years?
Possibly.
I think that's what you're looking more at retention, probably.
Give old Bill Armstrong a ring down in Arizona. Like, you got a brand new arena.
Bill hosed you on Harry Sateri. I don't know how good the relationship is.
I think Harry Sateri. I think that might have been a bullet dodge.
The other thing too is there is I'd say a 50-50 chance that there are 2 new goalies for Toronto.
I think so too.
In September.
I'm not as sold on Jack coming back as you guys are.
No, I'm not sold either.
Oh, you're not either.
No,
okay.
I just think that it'll get to the point where the Leafs can't afford it.
And I think they do want him back.
Yes, they want him, but on their terms.
At 3.5, 4.5.
I don't even
tops.
know. I'm not even so sold on 4, 4.5, or 5 than
years.
6 or 7 years.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
something in my throat there.
That's what Kurt's going to want. He's going to want to get Jack locked in as much as he can. And if it's
the Leafs would go that long with him.
And if it's not I don't think there's any team that'll go 6 or 7, but that doesn't mean that the ask isn't there. Or
5,
that you'll wait for free agency to find out.
So Grubauer was what, 6x6 or 6x5? I know he's not Grubauer, but I mean, not that far off.
So, like, that's a significant
Linus Ullmark was 5
for the Toronto Maple Leafs, possibly in September. 2 new goalies,
who are Darcy Kemper. Darcy Kemper's a UFA. He's going to cost $6 a year.
Anaheim looking to
John Gibson.
He's been below a league average for 3 straight years and save percentage, expected save.
With a below average decor.
$6.4 million contract. So pass on that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but God.
But the goaltending position is a very big question mark for me this offseason.
Broken rib for Jack too, eh?
What? Really?
Well, yeah. Remember he was out for a little while?
Yeah. Broken rib. Oh, I do not want to play goal with one of those. He didn't either.
And he got asked because he got run into. Was it Nick Paul that crunched him? He was like, yeah. They asked him, like, were you hurt on that play? He's like, yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Yeah, he got run over.
There's some that maybe
Nick
suggested
Paul,
to me that
maker.
he would not have been available in the second round.
Oh, my. You're saying that buried the lead, really?
Some have suggested to me.
Yeah, he got run over and he
Got
was
run
grabbing
over.
his knee really bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Eric Shalgren against the Florida Panthers. I would have taken it.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. Oh no,
I would have
Shaw
taken
got
it,
in the
boys.
second round.
You would have taken it for 3.5 games.
Yes.
And out.
Yeah.
Let alone 4.
Well, what's old
Just
Peter? What's
whistling
old
into the
Peter
summer.
up to?
Oh yeah, actually, Mrazek wasn't it like I think he's available or he was going to be
Yeah.
available for the second round.
But you look
if
back.
we wanted him.
When did we have that conversation? I guess it was after Peter Mrazek got hurt for the last time, and we said, we had that conversation. Would you ever see Peter Mrazek in a Leafs uniform again? And all of us said no. We might have been
I
right.
think all of us were going to. be right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So handful of clips more to play.
I think
Next one that stands out is Willie for me. What do you think, Sammy?
I like Willie. We will play Willie here.
Willie on potentially being traded. Do
Well,
you
he
agree with that, Kipper?
He got asked about potentially getting traded. Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a listen.
All right.
My summer will be the same. I feel like the team has been, first of all, that I've heard since I got to Toronto. So that is what it is. But I feel like I believe in this group so much, and I feel like we've grown together. And we're so close, but yet we didn't win. And I feel like the progress is there. Everybody wanted to win this year, and I'm just focused on being here and getting ready for next year.
There is nothing to suggest that this guy's going to be on his way out anytime soon.
Well, if you want to talk about entitlement, he's just like, yeah, I've heard that since I've been here. Like, he just doesn't even believe it can happen.
I wonder why. I wonder why.
He also said, I think we're slowly understanding the way we need to play at one point.
Slowly.
Yeah.
Good.
How slow?
I'm thrilled.
6?
7.
6 years, okay?
We wanted to win this year. I got to say, so I think I misunderstood Willie in the early days. I thought he was just kind of like quiet and aloof and whatever. Sometimes I'm not sure about this guy. Some of the things he says, like maybe
I played with enough of these guys. Kyle hit it pretty well with. There's sometimes you want to just wring their necks, and then there's other times they do things that no one else can do.
Well, he's another worldly athlete. There's no doubt about
He's
that.
ridiculously good hockey player.
What he can do as a hockey player is unbelievable. I'm just saying.
And he's holding.
Oh.
He does hold the team hostage sometimes in terms of.
If I'm good, we'll win. If I'm not, I'll decide.
You're just gonna have to wait, okay? And
the first thought when Sheldon wakes up in the morning on Game 6 is like,
come on, Bill.
boy, I hope Will's good tonight.
And it's easy to say, trade him for a defenseman. And then it's hard to say, what would that do to a second line?
When he's gone, right?
Oh, that's the nut of it. I wonder how many times we played that clip this year.
You're spending the next 3 years of trying to protect John Tavares as much as you can. And was that not spoken today as well about John Tavares and the back half of his contract?
Yeah, it was alluded to. But Dubas didn't give a very good answer, so I didn't. That's why I didn't put it in there.
But the point's still there, right? Is that
trying to prop him up?
You would have hoped that there would have been a Stanley Cup in those first 3 years of his contract, and not try to tag him on to the last 4.
This is the bulk of what the problem now is. They really thought they were going to win a cup. You know, the Willie year where they brought him back, the next year, that they really thought by now it was going to happen, and now they're pretty deep.
If you're ever going to trade Nylander, I don't know if I would do it for a defenseman. Maybe another forward. Maybe another guy that makes a similar amount of money, that maybe a little bit more, that has a scoring.
The thing is, someone only trades you the guy you're talking about if he's a problem guy.
2 heavy third liners.
Not even a third liner.
If you were,
what about JT Miller?
No.
1 for 1.
If you see, I'm with you.
Yeah, do that.
I'm with you. I'm not even sure that's enough, but if you would have been able to in your heyday trade Nylander for a Coleman and a Goodrow, Barclay Goodrow, that makes sense, would it not?
Yeah, knowing now that they contributed to a Stanley Cup, yes.
I know hindsight.
Yeah.
I know some people would look at you like you had 3 heads.
Yeah,
but you have to really know your Colemans and your Goodrows
There's
very
a good
well.
point. There's a good
to
point.
to have the guts to do it.
Yeah,
I didn't really know much about Mateau or Noonan.
Sure.
But what you said yesterday is a valid point in this conversation. Is you're robbing Peter to pay Paul? Like what you extract from the bottom half of your
lineup.
lineup
Is your team on the meter?
That's what I mean. It's just trading him for a different guy.
But I think the point is from a lot of people is it needs to just be different because that way doesn't work, that recipe. So at least a different recipe.
Yeah.
Even if it costs the same amount.
Yeah. I got to think they didn't tip their hand today, but they know they have to make changes.
I agree.
And
I agree.
They didn't want to say it.
To say it.
It didn't benefit for them to say it because then it's a mission of a flawed belief.
I guess I felt like they should have admitted something of a flawed belief.
Yes.
And that would have connected and resonated with fans. Like, I think more so if they were like, I think we might have got this one wrong, but we're going to, do better.
Yes.
Rather than just be like, wow.
No. No. No, just.
Kipper's taught me in media to just never admit you've done wrong. This is my new thing now. Is, someone else messed up.
What else do we have?
Do you want to do the Matthews conversation? Because Dubas was asked today about a potential doomsday clock for Matthews in the window.
Oh, that's right. He's due for renegotiation in about a year.
I would just like to say that assuming Sportsnet has us back for a show next year, we got to have like a once a month limit on talking about the doomsday clock because I can see it being an every week thing. It's scary. All right, let's do it.
Certainly don't view it as a doomsday clock. We're fortunate to have one of the best players in hockey under contract for 2 more years, and beyond that, he's a great player that we'd like to see play his whole career with Toronto, and he wants to win more than anybody. So he's on board with that in every discussion that we have with him, and that's our focus, is building the best team possible to take advantage of having players of that caliber, Mike.
Okay. This is where Kyle is wrong.
Oh.
You only have him for 1 more year.
Right.
Because the second year is the full panic year.
Correct.
Okay? And now you don't want to spend that last year having not only yourself or the ownership group, but every fan wondering, is he staying or is he going?
I think you would have to have the conversation with Austin and say, we're not talking about it during the season. We'll worry about that later. Like, it's going to be talked about during the season. So you are either we figure it out now or we're just going to have to move on.
And the biggest reason why you can't even contemplate having him play out that last year is because you cannot,
under Islanders,
any circumstance, be the Islanders and watch him walk out the door for nothing.
Oh.
You cannot.
What would that auction go like?
Cannot
He's available.
pull a Tavares and have your fan base go, he's staying, and get the rug pulled out from underneath him and get nothing in return. You want to talk about doomsday? You want to talk about a nuclear bomb going off?
Yeah.
That's it for your organization. You got a year to figure it out. And if it's not, then you start the bidding process.
I think you have a year and then you start figuring it out. Like, you just got to try to win again next year. That's it. Try to win.
Sportsnet execs for 2024's trade deadline are like, oh, baby, the Matthews.
Oh, no, they're not. Because if he's gone, then he's gone. He's not here.
We'd be able to sign the next year.
You should have some idea. And maybe you're right. Maybe the discussions don't really start till after you see how next season goes.
If the team is close to winning, Matthews stays. If the team is competitive, Matthews stays.
One more thought on Matthews. Did the last stretch, and we had this discussion, guys, about chasing 60.
Mm-hmm.
Did that help or hurt the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round, or was it a non-factor?
I'm going to say that when the Leafs are up 3-2 in the series and when they push Tampa in Game 6 and go to OT, you wouldn't have sat here and said, that it affected them negatively. That he played well and he was an impactful player. So I'm hesitant because now we have the result of the series to be like, it was that chase for 60 3 weeks ago. I don't know. Do you think it had a negative effect?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't my thought.
Yeah.
But I
will say it did feel different.
I didn't
from the focus.
There was a feel of an emotional pull that may have been somewhat exhausting a little bit, then an exhaust feeling, and then a relief feeling, and then starting up the emotions again into a playoff. And I don't know.
I don't think it's nothing, Kyper. I think you make a good point.
I don't think
at least worth a chat.
I don't exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to suggest that it was a factor that.
But it definitely, you went the whole year saying the regular season doesn't matter. Then there was this chunk of the season where you're like, well, this part does. And then you got to the playoffs. I don't know.
I don't know. Let's ask Sammy, super fan.
Didn't matter.
There you go.
No correlation for me.
Okay.
That's. I mean, you could really drum it up if you want, but I don't really find a correlation.
Before we go to break and get to all our guests, you want to just hear Matthews on beliefs to put a bow on Matthews?
Yeah.
His belief.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, we do. I believe it. I think everybody in this room believes it. I don't think that we can really concern ourselves with opinions of others or the media or fans and other people think. But I know that deep down in this room that we all believe in each other, and it's obviously still a tough pill to swallow, but. I don't think that belief ever wavered, and I think throughout the year, through the ups and downs that we went through as a team, slow start, shaky a little bit in the middle of the season, I think we just always found a way to push back, and even throughout the series. So, I know that the belief in this room is still very high, regardless of the outcome and what maybe outside opinions think.
Last comment for me before we go to break. Yeah. I believe that this team truly believed this year that they were going to win a Stanley Cup, or at least.
Did you like his comments?
Run deep.
No. Maybe you could listen to an opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't love his comments, but I do believe that they believed.
Okay. Want to revisit. You were adamant. C comes off Tavares, gives it to Matthews. I have a sneaking suspicion you're not as strong opinionated on that today than you were a few months ago.
Give half of it to Riley. Can they? One guy's got an apostrophe and the other a colon, a comma. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not. I haven't thought about a Kyper. I need time to go into the off season and reformulate my
like
takes.
Dubas. I need time.
I think he took a step back a little bit.
In what way?
A leadership role. That he's still learning how to strap a team on his back.
I can hear that.
Sammy, is he the guy? Is he the leader? Is he the captain, the real captain of this team?
I'd like to think that he is, but I know the Game 7 record isn't great, and every other superstar and every other big game that we watched on whatever night that was showed up. Gaudreau scores overtime winner, McDavid, that unbelievable effort. It's just hard because you argue all year that, like, I go on the radio and like an idiot and be like, he's better than McDavid. He's the MVP. He's the best guy. And in the biggest game, I mean, he was just okay, and it's not good enough.
Kyper wanted him to distribute all year. He distributed in Game 7.
I know, but I want him to shoot one in the old beanbag one of these times.
He needed one more pass.
Yeah. The whole thing is one more, right? It's been one more for 5 more.
I'm not
6 more.
sure where I see him now. And when it comes to your captain, I'm not sure he's it.
I'm sticking with it. I'm like Dubas. I'll flop him on the table. I believe in my guys.
As a goal scorer the way he is right now, like if I was to look at, if you had 2 horses in the middle, like Pittsburgh, to me, he's more Malkin than he is Crosby.
That's the nicest insult you've ever given anyone, I think. I mean, that's a huge compliment. Malkin is a number 1 center on every team in the NHL ever, unless Crosby's on your
material.
team. Yeah.
Malkin is not.
I don't see the comparable in the way they lead or act. I agree with you there.
I think he missed an opportunity to strap a team on his back.
Yeah, man. I mean, I saw what McDavid did. And it's impossible to sit here and say that the same thing happened. I also see that McDavid played the LA Kings and Matthews is playing the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Little softer D. Little softer D. All right. Good point on that. We're going to go to break. We're going to come back with Elliot Friedman. Of course, Elliot always has a little nugget, little scoop every once in a while. He says big Kawhi Leonard type of trade may be coming down the path for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll talk to him on that and so much more. You're listening and watching Real Kyper and Bourne. Back after the break.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Greg Holland tweeted, how many times has Malkin put the team on his back, though? Many.
Can we have a Malkin conversation without...
Greg is not wrong.
No.
He's not wrong.
No, good point. But can we have a Malkin conversation without mentioning what's happening in Pittsburgh? They offered him 3 times 5, 15 mil, and he's like, see ya. I mean, is Bergeron going to leave in Pittsburgh? Are they just going to sign Malkin with that money now?
They're going to, and he's got some good years still ahead of him. I don't know if it'll all be, hit the prime of what we saw in Pittsburgh, but he could still, under the right circumstances, help other clubs win Stanley Cups.
Yeah. Pittsburgh is like that Fenway Sports Group, being very calculated with these guys. All right.
Let's go to our first guest today. Jeff Merrick describes him as the greatest, what was that promo? The best storyteller in hockey.
Oh, God.
When did you become this great storyteller? We've worked together for 6 years. Every weekend, I'm like, I don't remember him telling great stories.
Look, I can't believe you didn't remember that line, Nick. That commercial's only run 11 billion times.
No. Now you've got a new one out there, right? With Jeff what is it? Google? Microsoft. And I'm telling people, I'm watching this commercial run like every 3 minutes for like 4 hours. And I go, that's not acting. They're that geeky. they're that geeky in real life. They're not acting.
It was the easiest role I've ever auditioned for. Put it that way. Yes.
So when a team like Toronto gets knocked out, or maybe a few others in Canada, does your job get easier or tougher? Because there's always these rumblings that start.
Yeah. Well, I think, Nick, that this one, there's a lot going on, right? Vancouver, we think they're going to turn over a chunk of their roster. Winnipeg's in a coaching search, and they may turn over a bit of their roster. Ottawa's going to try to do some things for sure. Toronto, we got some clarity today, but I think they're trying to throw us off the scent a bit. And Montreal, we'll wait to see what they do heading into the draft. But it's busy. There's Nick, you've done this job. You know it. On one hand, you're looking ahead to the games that night. On the other hand, you're trying to keep your finger on the pulse, right? So there's a lot going on. There's no question about it. And these are big decisions for some of these teams, particularly the Maple Leafs.
Fried, I think we had promoted you coming on earlier in the show discussing the comment just about the Kawhi trade, the DeMar for Kawhi, and the Leafs potentially having some eye to doing something like that as a potential route for them. Could you expand on that a little bit? What would that look like for a Toronto Maple Leafs team?
Well, this is what I think, Justin. If you watched and listened to the media conference today, and you went back to last year, last year. They came on last year and they threw themselves on the mercy of the fan base. Yeah. They said, we know how you feel. We feel the same way. And that's the way they began the press conference last year. But they talked forcefully about they really believe they have the right group and we're going to figure this out here. Now, this year, the message, the words might have been the same, but the tone to me was different. It wasn't as, whether you want to call it defiant or pleading or anything like that. To me, this one this year was more matter of fact. And what that says to me is that they do think they have really good players here who can win, but they recognize that something is missing. And they are going to identify what that is, and they are going to go out and try to find it. If you'll remember the summer of Kawhi, Masai Ujiri, who Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan obviously know quite well, he said DeRozan would be back, and he traded him. And that's why DeRozan was so mad, and Lowry was so mad. and he fired his head coach, which the Leafs are obviously not doing. But what they said publicly and what they did were two different things. And I think what they're saying publicly is, we still believe that this group is talented enough to win, but what I think they're thinking is, we know we have to fix something here. And some of that is mental, and some of that is they've got to add. Now, the things that I think they're going to target are not easy things to get. I think they are going to try to find, and I don't know if I can say this on the radio, I guess you can say it once. I think they're going to try to find an absolute prick of a forward to play in the top six. And I also think that if they don't sign Campbell, I'm very curious to see what they do in goal.
Okay, before we go to goal, let's just talk about either there's only there's two ways, Elliot, to go about this. That you're going to dip into one of your core guys to flip, or you're going to go basement bargain hunting again for Kyle. Those are your two choices. And
I think he has a third one. Nick.
Okay, share.
And the third one is, I know the Leafs don't have a lot of draft capital, but I think teams like some of their prospects. I don't think that's the road he wants to go down.
But Elliot, you can't flip prospects for JT Miller and his $5 million.
Well, obviously a salary has to be part of that. Yes, I understand what you're saying, but that's key to the deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he has prospects that other teams like. I don't think that's the road he wants to go down, particularly for a rental. But I think if the right player was to come available for some of their, and it had to be a prospect, I think he will consider it.
But like, you've been sending out first, second, and third round picks the last 2 years.
Yeah, so do the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, do you want to win, or do you want to, then you got to trust. Like, the one thing about Tampa is they find players. They can do that because they find players. So, and, last year, Toronto hit an absolute out-of-the-park grand slam home run with Nyes, it looks like. They took a kid who dropped out of the first round because he had a bad year, and it looks like he's a big steal. That's what you have to do. If you want to try to win in this league, that's what you have to do. You have to be willing, you have to be able to draft well in later rounds or with later picks. You don't get the best of the best, but you can still find good players. And you have to be willing to say, you know what, if we're in it to win it, we got to play this game. Tampa's done it, and they've proven you can do it.
Is there any chance, everything we're talking about is, salary cap, finagling, and how do you wedge this piece in there? Because one of the foundational pieces is takes up too much. That's Tavares. Tavares takes up too much of the salary cap for the value you're getting back. Is there any chance, any world where they would say to him, would you have interest in playing somewhere else, just so we know? Would you ever do this?
I could see a situation where they ask him, absolutely. I can't imagine the answer would be yes. But I think the answer with Tavares is, and I wrote it today, and I said it on the podcast and on the morning show the other day, is I think they should consider, do you go to Tavares and say, look, how do you feel about being like this hybrid center winger? You still take draws on your strong side. He can still play on the first power play, and he'll still get his points. But you don't play center all the time. We change some of your responsibilities and make you into kind of a winger in the system we play. The other thing I wondered, and I was talking about this with a few people, guys, is do they put Marner and Matthews on two different lines? I don't always like that idea because it's obviously works. You got one guy with 60 goals and one guy who gets 95 points every year. But do you think you make yourselves a better team in the postseason with Marner and Matthews down the middle and Tavares on one of their wings?
So hold on, let me get this straight. You want to re-sign Austin Matthews next year, and you're telling him you're not playing with one of the best playmakers on the planet.
Look, my question is,
sign
you're
here.
running back. Well, Nick, but the thing is, But like, if it was me, like, and I'm not projecting my feelings on Austin Matthews, but if I was as talented as Austin Matthews, and we all know he's got more talent in the tip of his toe than I do in my entire body.
Don't sell yourself short, Elliot.
But you know what, Nick? I want to win. I've scored 60 goals. Yeah. I want to win. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, Austin Matthews could go down as the greatest Toronto Maple Leaf ever. And he might if he wins a Stanley Cup. If you were, like, I would just say, guys, like, this, it's working for you guys, and we're happy with you guys. But we got to find a way to start winning some playoff series. And I think right now, like, do you guys, like, the fact that you're even asking me about Tavares' future says that you guys don't believe that they may be able to win with Tavares as your number 2 center. So if you can't move him, what about, okay, then you got to, what about moving him to wing, and then you've got to find another center. And those are hard to find.
Well, you can't afford them, Elliot. You can't afford them.
So then what about saying to Marner and Matthews, how do you feel about starting next season as 1 and 2 centers?
Yeah. No,
even if you move, for me, even if you move Tavares to the wing, it doesn't really change a whole heck of a lot.
But I do agree with the idea that you got to try, whether it's Marner at center or try.
You've
pushed it. I know.
Go back to our conversations.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with you. Marner and Nylander were original centermen.
Mm-hmm.
That's their natural positions. They never flirted with it. They never contemplated it at all.
No, it's a good point and worthwhile to pursue. So, Friedge, when you talk about, potential big guys and trades and adding I think we've concurred that no one got fired yet for saying absolute prick on the air. I think, when you're looking at that, it can't be Matthews. It can't be Tavares. Probably not Marner, who's getting you 100 points, and we're talking about playing at center. Is Nylander a guy that they're saying, hey, he had a great year? Would you guys want? Is it JT Miller? Are there guys out there that you can see that makes sense in a Nylander swap?
Well, the thing is, like, I'm not even convinced it's necessarily going to be Nylander. I'm not. Like, the one thing about Nylander's contract now is it's good value for the money. Like, he drives me as crazy as he drives everybody else. But I don't know if we should be rushing. Like, it could be Nylander, but I don't know if we should be rushing to say it's 100% Nylander. Like, like I'll tell you this, if I was them, one guy I'd be looking at, I don't know if they could afford him. They'd have to clean out some bodies, is a guy like David Perron.
I like him a lot. He's
old.
He's old. He's old, but
he's old. Look at him right now.
You need 1 year.
I know he's doing awesome.
Yeah, you need 1 year. You just need 1 year out of him.
You're right. Yeah.
But
but if it's not. But the thing is, then, like, I'm looking at guys like Miller. I mean, Miller obviously is one of the top you could absolutely think of. Do you go and move heaven and earth to bring back Mason Marchment?
Yeah. I mean, this is where they're at this season, is just like, what is available to them? And I think I wanted to hear more of that today, Friedge. I wanted to hear more. We know it needs to be different, rather than we're pretty good. We'll see.
You know what the thing is? To me, it's all about the tone, Justin. Watch last year's press conference and listen to how they sounded, and listen to how they sounded this year.
But
Dubas likes to be quiet.
Yeah.
He likes to be quiet. There's a lot churning under the water.
But I think there's too much propping up the effort this year, because last year they lied down like dogs.
Yeah.
That was the range. Like, they're pumping up. Well, we were right there with them. We didn't have to worry about them trying harder or trying smarter, because last year was such a debacle of a finish.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, okay, all right, you tried harder, really? That's where we are after 6 years of trying to get out of the first round, that we're patting ourselves on the back because we really tried hard?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right. one more for you, or maybe a couple. I don't know how you are on time, but we talked about.
I'm good. I'm driving, so I don't really have to pay attention.
Well, you're not shoveling. You're not shoveling. You're not eating. You're not cracking your water bottle. It's all good for us. So far, you've been an outstanding guest. Elliot, there is a sense that the Leafs will upgrade their goaltending, and that doesn't necessarily mean that Jack won't come back, but there is a sense that they are not either overpaying Jack or giving him more term than they want to.
I think that's probably true. Like, do you guys feel comfortable with Shalgren as the backup next year? Like, I probably would, considering what we saw of him this year. But they know him better than me. I mean, Dubas' biggest thing is he's got to extricate himself from Mrazek.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's buyout or whatever he's gonna do, he's gonna have to extricate himself from him. I do wonder. I have wondered, Nick, if the big move is to be made, could it be there if they can't re-sign Campbell? Like, I do think Campbell's going to get good offers. I think he's shown that in a league now where goaltenders play 55-27, 50-32, he can handle that. And I don't think you can blame him at all in the playoffs. So I do think there's a chance they've priced him out of Toronto. I always think you should try to sell. I always think you should try to buy on the people you know best. I'm just not sure they're going to be able to. And that, you know, like the other thing too, guys, is I think the quality of the number of real stud number one goalies in this league now is going down. I think there's fewer than I've seen in my lifetime. So I'm curious to see if Campbell doesn't resign. Is that where Dubas decides to strike for, like, I don't know, a John Gibson or something?
It's just hard to tell who's a stud too, because now they split the net. You get 40 games, you have a bad stretch or something. It's tough to tell who's any good. Last one for me is just Muzzin makes 5.6 this next year and 5.6 the year after. Where would they stand on him? Seems like a guy they're just going to hang on to and as a part of their core, I guess.
I think so. I just don't know if that's like I still think that he brings something that you need.
Yeah.
And I think he wants to be here. And so unless you show me, like, I wouldn't, like, I understand. I think they've talked pretty at length with Giordano about bringing him back at a lower number. And I think that's kind of what he's indicated that's what he wants to do. So I think that helps. But look, they're probably, unless they trade one of these guys, I see a defense next year probably with Sandin and Liljegren in it.
Yeah.
You're going to need guys like Muzzin to play with them.
Can we have one guy that's won a Stanley Cup to look at the other guys and go, this is what I can tell you?
Yeah.
One?
Yeah, David Perron.
There you go.
Who's David Perron's agent that you're pushing right now?
Yeah, you know what? I'm surprised that there haven't been tweets about this already.
Yeah, we'll see. Give it a sec here. It'll happen.
Other than that, Elliot, no real surprise, eh? In terms of what you heard today out of Kyle and Brendan, I don't think that they were really pushed all that hard today.
No, the only thing, Nick, that I wonder about is, Dubas has 1 year left on the deal. What are they going to do there?
Yeah, he needs a new deal. Does that do they quietly do it without announcing it like they did Sheldon last year? Well,
they could. I mean, nothing would. I mean, they it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that's happening more and more in the league now, Nick. Like, I remember a couple of years ago when you reported that Brian McClellan got extended. Like, they kept that quiet for a while, and teams like to keep that stuff quiet.
Well, when it's not going well, it makes a lot of sense. Just to, I mean, I know Dubas and that whole staff has let contracts expire on people. Could they do that with Dubas and just say, "Well, we'll see how this year goes, and we'll talk if there's success"?
So
they could.
Bruce Boudreau's going back to what's left on his contract, right? He didn't get anything extended, did he?
No, he did not. No, he did not.
He shopped around. He couldn't find another taker.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know how hard he really shopped around, Nick. I think right now, like I was talking to a GM the other night who's looking for a coach, and he said to me that there are so many coaches on the market right now. Like you think about it, guys. Like think about how many former NHL coaches are looking for jobs right now. He said he said if every team was to hire a coach, he said there would still be 20 former NHL head coaches looking for work. He said unless you really want a guy, and I'll tell you, Barry Trotz is that guy. I think that he is really, really wanted. I think a lot of these teams are going to have the ability to pick between a couple of candidates and they really like. I would bet the market was a little bit soft, but not necessarily because people don't like him as a coach. It's because I think a lot of teams right now, except if you really want someone like Trotz, they're going to hold the hammer in this.
Vegas, George McPhee and Trotz?
I think Vegas is one. I think Philadelphia absolutely is another. And Winnipeg is interviewing him today.
I hear Boston's contemplating making changes.
Well, you know, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you know that organization. Nick.
There's not been a better time, I think, for a few general managers right now or coaches available.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, there's a whole bunch of guys out there that were coaches that are available. There's assistant coaches. You know, people are looking for fresh blood. There's Nick, look at Claude Julien. He's 62 years old. He's coached the Olympic team and he's coached the World Championship team. Like when it's in your blood, it's in your blood.
All right, Elliot, we're going to let you go. Focus on the road.
Thanks, Fried.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thanks for not eating lunch during our show, eh?
It's too late. It's too late for lunch and too early for dinner.
Elliot Friedman.
Snack time's over. Bye.
Hockey Night in Canada.
While he was talking, I was thinking Babcock, Quenneville, Barry Trotz, Rick Tocchet, Pete DeBoer, Paul Maurice, Claude Julien. Like, there's some names.
There's some choices
out there.
He hasn't thought about it.
No.
No.
You know who I want out of the whole list I just gave you guys? I want Rick Tocchet. And not because he's a friend of the show. I really believe in his demeanor, the way he carries himself, the way he thinks about the game. I think he is an excellent coach in Wade right now.
Tocchet will end up in Dallas next year.
Ooh. I love the call of a team that has a coach.
Wow.
Well, I think the feeling is
hopefully
hopefully
he's not listening.
He's gonna shut it down.
Okay.
I think.
Good fit. I like that.
If
Sagan was playing with a broken bone in his foot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Makes it hard.
That's twice now. He's gotten injuries of significance. He had hip surgery, didn't he, at the end of last year?
Old Tyler's got a case of the olds. He's one of us.
Okay, let's take a quick break. Luke Fox, one of those wily veteran media guys at the availability of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll get his vibe on what he saw and heard.
Great
out
showing
of the Toronto
today by
Maple
Luke.
Leafs. Okay, Luke Fox after the break. Watching and listening. Real Kyper and Bourne.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Let's welcome in Luke Fox, NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca and one of our key guys.
Good question asker.
Great question asker. And Luke, I got to be honest with you. Some in the room, like outside of what's your favorite color, for some, not all of them, you were great. Others were, there's some really good ones in the room, but there's other ones that are like, come on, try harder. Outside of that, no, you don't have to comment, Luke. That's just me.
No comment.
Just me being a smart ass. That's all. Overall, your thoughts on today, because there's a mixture. JB and Sammy came in a little heavy on the top of our show on.
I kind of regret it.
Not hard enough. Didn't get enough answers today.
Well, I don't know. What are they going to say? One thing I came away with was I already thought that Shanahan was tied to Dubas and Dubas was tied to Keefe. But now more than ever, I think this group is either going to win a cup or there's going to be a cleaning of the house at some point whenever ownership is tired of the group. They are locked in. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I came away with. Kyle Dubas said he didn't even really think about the idea of giving Barry Trotz or Pete DeBoer a call. Like he is firmly going with Sheldon, and I'm not saying it's the wrong call, but to me it's really fascinating because either this group is going to get rewarded for believing so hard and being so loyal and believing even harder when they lose again, or they're going to be looked at as a group that was too stubborn and too proud, maybe, to adjust course.
Just for the record, though, like you wouldn't expect anything less out of Kyle. Like anything less on what he answered on the Barry Trotz question, you bury Sheldon. He's in the room.
I see your point.
Anything less than what he said, and you bury your head coach.
Why can't you bury him though?
And you've got your lead.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone lit a fire under anyone. Like not right. Like I didn't feel the players. They didn't really challenge each other too much. They said, well, maybe we've got to give a little bit more effort. The coach didn't really challenge the players. He talked about how the foundation he believed in, and he believes in the foundation even more now. Like I just didn't get a sense that it was kind of like nothing's wrong, nothing to see here. If we stay the course, stick with the process, maybe tweak a few things, work a bit harder in the summer. I don't know. To me, it lacked a little something, but I think that's by design. I think that's the message you want to project. The sad thing to me is, like, I threw this poll out asking fans, what they thought needed changing, and I was playing shinny with some buddies last night, and I think the expectations have lowered around the city, and I think that's the sad thing here. Like, people just seem to be like, just went around. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a dangerous thing. Like this could be, some of the best players to ever put on that jersey. No offense to you, Kyper.
Appreciate it.
and the bar is went around now for a lot of people, and the bar should be much higher. And I think that there should be a stronger push. And today is just talk, right? Like we'll see what Kyle's actions are, and he could say one thing and do another, but right now the messaging, at least publicly, is we're going to be fine if we just keep staying the course.
Well, and Kyper made the point that they wanted to not make waves today. I think they accomplished that. That doesn't mean they can't still make waves. They can go make waves. Yeah. They want to stir it up, and I get that whole aspect of it. Was there anyone between the players, coaches, management, whatever, who felt a little out of lockstep with the whole don't say anything interesting vibe? Like, it just felt to me like everyone kind of huddled up and decided on a tone and a message, and a lot of it was just, let's get through today without saying anything.
Jason Spezza.
Yeah.
I think just because this is we've gone through this a few times with Jason, and every other time he has come out and said, "I want to keep playing hockey. I love playing hockey. I have more to give." This time, there was a but and an if attached to his answers, and he was kind of like, he had one line where he's like, I'm at a loss right now, honestly. Like he wasn't sure what he was going to do, if he was going to go hit the gym or take a vacation or just hang out with his family and just, give it some thought. Like he seemed really devastated, and you felt for the guy. Like he seemed human. There was a lot of other answers that just seemed either familiar because we heard them all last year, or it was, it seemed to be a PR message and they were all singing from the same songbook. But for Spezza, I mean, he's at a vastly different point in his career. There was just a sadness and a loss where you felt for the guy. And, he's like wondering if he did enough. And I'm kind of like, what more can you do? I mean, you took the bare minimum. You're giving speeches. You're in and out of the lineup, but when you're in, you're trying your best. But that just kind of shows the human side and the emotional side that, this guy's devoted his life to this sport, and it may have slipped through his fingers there against Tampa.
Very seldom do you get to leave the way you like to, especially with a Stanley Cup over your head. That's the last chase before they kick you to the curb. And it happens to all of us. And unfortunately, that was the vibe today for Jason Spezza, that tenure is coming to an end. Listen, whatever he wants to do, what little he wants to do, or where he wants to go in the organization, there is a sense that they can offer him something. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of business cards floating around there. Surely to God they can find him something to do.
I would be shocked if he does not end up in the Toronto Maple Leafs in some capacity, whether it's working with the kids, he hangs out and works with like Marlies a lot of the time, or whether it's on the bench or whether it's in management. I think he can pretty much write his own ticket. I just think he needs some time to come to grips with whether his playing career is done, right? He's got to go through that process. But he said if he does play, there's only going to be one place in Toronto, and he's been a rink rat his whole life. Like maybe he takes a year or something, but absolutely, I would be shocked if he doesn't end up with this organization in some
travel abroad.
A year from now, maybe there's a presidency job opening up, a general manager's job, a head coaching job.
Yeah.
This time next year, who knows? But this is where maybe you lose the veteran presence, at least as a player every day in the dressing room, to Mark Giordano. It's kind of set up that way, right? Spezza's torch over to Gio next year.
I don't think Kyle would love anything more. And Gio spoke pretty openly. Like I one of the questions I asked him was like, when you get to free agency, people prioritize different things. Some it's money, some it's where the family wants to live, the role you're going to play, right? And he just said, I want to win. And previously he had said that he thinks this group can get it done. And he spoke about, it's no secret that I love being in Toronto. And I think that would be a huge win for Dubas. You have a guy come in, plays a solid, calm defense for less than market value. That would be huge. And it seems like there's some real traction and desire to get that done. I walked away feeling like there's a much better chance of that happening than of the Campbell thing. That is remains a question mark for me. Whereas Gio, if I'm a fan, I'm hopeful that they can find a way to make that work.
All four of the core back next year, you think, Luke? Was that the vibe?
That's the vibe. That was Louis' vibe. He kind of laughed off the suggestion that his name will be out there again. He kind of just said, it's been that way ever since I've been here. But I wonder if, I feel like this is the year, this is the summer you have to look at it. And I just wonder if there's pressure on Dubas that he's obviously not going to let on and tip his hand and show the other 31 GMs that he's thinking about it. But the endorsement, the adamant endorsement of the core forwards was less strong this time than a year ago when they got booted. He wasn't standing up and saying we can and we will with all these guys. He was kind of like, we'll look at everything. I'm not going to make a lateral move. But, hey, like, what if Arizona comes with a Jacob Chikrin package? Then maybe you got to look at it. Like, or St. Louis comes with a Colton Parayko package. Like, those are the types of deals where maybe you got to think about it. I'm not saying trade him for picks and prospects, but if there's a real hockey deal, I think this might be the summer he considers it.
Luke, really appreciate your time as always, man. Thanks for doing this.
Okay, love your show, guys. Keep it up.
Thanks, Luke.
Luke Fox, NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca. Is his panel or is the question, the poll question, still up on the board?
His?
His.
I think we've timed out on it now, right? 75% of people.
Yeah, but
I
just looked at it. Let me just pull it up here really quickly. Blah 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 blah. Jeopardy music, please. Yeah. So this poll got up to 27,000 votes.
Wow.
So maybe it was just us talking about it. We gave him that bump he needed, 8.2% of people think that the front office should change. 9%.
8.2?
9% of people think that the coach should change. 15.9% of people think core four, and 66.9 says run it back with small moves.
So if we think Spezza's going to be on his way out and Gio takes over the role of daddy in the room,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Can Kyle and Brendan convince him to buy into the Jason Spezza $750 a year program
with a career afterwards? I got to tell you,
and a job.
Yeah, that's
when
what I
you're
mean.
done.
Yeah. I want $2 million. How about I give you $750 and we pay you when you're done?
That's the key.
I'm hung up on what you said off the top of the show about how guys would like the opportunity to be here as a retirement community, right? Be in their hometown, get the accolades. Not exact, you want to win. You want to win, that'd be great. But if not, it's still pretty cool to have played here.
Really cool. Trust me, I've milked it every which way as a Toronto boy.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't want the Leafs to be a retirement community for people who want to wear the jersey once. I don't know. There should be some pressure to win.
His first instinct was, I want to win.
That's good.
And he has not had playoff success. He has not had playoff success.
Correct.
And Spezza, for the most part, I know he went to a final earlier in his career in Ottawa.
Yeah.
But he's another guy who never had playoff success outside of that 1 year he went to the final.
You can't say these guys aren't grinding to get it done at the end of the career. Like, I don't think they looked at the Leafs and said, well, they don't have a great chance to win, but I want to go there because it's Toronto. Like, I think Spezza saw the Leafs and was like, I got a shot to win there.
We all thought that when we got traded here or signed here or drafted here.
Right, so it's not
He put his saddle on the wrong horse.
We all, it's the fantasy. It's the fantasy of winning here. Okay, winning Carolina. All right, yeah,
Pretty
won a
sick.
Stanley Cup. But
Amazing.
No,
I'm just mean like, yeah.
I know. It's like,
but
it's not original six stuff. That's a whole new level. So you fantasize about that, and sometimes you get caught up into it so much that reality doesn't set in. And the reality was this organization has a tough time getting out of the first round.
David Kemp scores an OT in Game 6 for Toronto. First round OT winner to move on.
So
he's a legend.
We discussed even before on air, like I know we heard some lame questions out there, and what would you have asked today? Where would you have gone today?
The players, I thought that, the players had the easiest go of it today. I think it would have been fair to say, do you want the coach back? Do you think the team is headed in the right direction? A little bit more direct line of like, do you have doubts about what's being built here or the plan?
Do you have faith in management and coaching? Is the number one question.
And it would be easy for the players to say, I do.
Yeah.
However, there are plenty of examples of players saying not exactly that around the NHL and historically in these year-end meetings and say, well, it's not up to me. And they start to hedge and you get a vibe for how they really feel about it. I feel at the very least those guys should have to there's got to be big questions, right? If I'm a player on this team, I'm not sure about what's going on here.
The one where I think Sheldon got off a little bit was the power play. I'm sorry, but I needed more accountability. How does one of the best power plays in Leaf history sink like a stone 2 years in a row? So if I'm either directing that to Kyle or Brendan, is going from like 35% to 14%? Like, where's your first instinct to find out, to get accountability on that? Does it go to the players or does it go to your coaching staff?
It's a good question. Who do you put that on? Because it happened and it's bad. We all agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
who
that
answers
your
for
star
that?
players? Is that your $40 million? Or is that the coaches not making adjustments and giving the guys better guidance to change things up when you needed it?
Well, it's another case where I think realistically and reasonably, you could say that that's on the players. You know, there is some element of this that's on the players, and there's just such a push to never say anything bad about anyone on your team. I would have liked to have heard someone say, yeah, we need more from our guys. Our players need to be better.
Yeah.
Do we hear that at all?
The
players need to be better?
The one I would have probably asked Brendan Shanahan too was 4 years ago, you asked some of these young star players, up-and-coming star players, that they're going to have to take less to win. And you convinced none of them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You paid, if not fair market value, a little above. And I'm not saying that it wasn't the right thing to do, or, you know, you are in the right wheelhouse, but you've never really had a contract where anybody's giving you a hometown discount.
You can say the new Riley one is that. Can't you? 7.5 times, whatever it is, 7.
Yeah, maybe, but
8,
but he's not 9. He's not 9. He didn't give you a huge one, because I'm not sure that you would put him up around the
I
top.
think if he's UFA, he probably gets 8 or 9. Yeah,
No,
He gets 9.
I don't think he gets 9. Okay, but
If
yeah, maybe
Kyper-
he's the exception.
If Morgan Riley hits the open market this
Yeah.
summer, he's getting $9 million a year.
I don't believe that for one second.
Dougie Hamilton just
No.
got 9.5,
Really?
didn't he?
Yes, and I think that was a mistake, and I think Darnell
make
Nurse was a mistake too.
Yeah, but people
Yeah.
make the mistakes. Is
And-
what we're
and
saying.
that's the
Fair
precedent
enough.
for Riley.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. So with the exception of Morgan, but my question would have been, because your 4 core guys didn't give you a hometown discount, how much did that slow the process to where you are today?
Then you once again have to throw your own guys under the bus, and they just won't. Just say, like,
Do you think it's a major factor?
100%.
Okay,
I do. Yes.
but then again, you know,
The philosophy.
the cap didn't go up, and
Okay, we have
Anyways.
3 minutes for 6 clips to preview both series, to do text and YouTube comments, to discuss.
okay, 2 games tonight.
Yeah,
What do we have?
we got the Battle of Florida, which I got to be honest, the wounds are still pretty fresh.
You can't watch that.
It's going to be really tough. I probably will.
I'm gonna watch it too.
I'll put it on, but I'll be flicking. Jays will be the primary before Colorado and Blues. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I watched Kikuchi work his way through the other night rather than hockey.
They didn't. There was no hockey last night, so you're in the clear.
Can the Blues upset Colorado?
Yes.
Because I picked the Blues.
I do think so, and the Blues are probably the team I'm rooting for the most.
Plus 360. Plus 360.
Good value.
Huge value. Not to mention Binnington in the last round played the last 3 games, was like a .950 save percentage. Guy who, when he gets hot, he's confident. He's been there. And you know what? This Colorado team, 3 years ago, they lost in the second round. 2 years ago, they lost in the second round. Last year, they lost in the second round. They're up against St. Louis, who's been there, got a goalie.
So what you're
920
saying is, so what you're saying is, okay, but that Nathan McKinnon and that Makar,
I know they're
Okay,
unstoppable. Those two.
he's modern day Bobby Orr, is he not?
Makar's amazing, and I think that's probably the best second round series, right?
Yeah, Florida Tampa's awesome. Florida Tampa is awesome.
Yeah, maybe
Florida has the most goals per game in like 25 years, and Tampa has Vasilevsky and this huge decor.
What should Leaf fans want from that series?
What if Florida sweeps Tampa? Just makes mockery of Tampa.
Are they? They're not watching.
But if there's one result that
I
makes
think
you feel
they want
better
Tampa
or
to
worse,
stomp Florida. That would be validating if Tampa just went out there and owned Florida, right?
Florida
You push
beating
Tampa.
Tampa would piss the Leaf fans
It would
off
piss
more.
them off, but so they should want Tampa to win.
Yes.
They should want Tampa to win
make-
the next 12
if Tampa
games
wins
and win
the
the cup.
Stanley Cup, Sammy, you're going to feel better about yourself.
Okay, bud. Okay,
No.
bud.
There's nothing that's going to make our Sammy feel better.
Yeah. Yeesh.
All right, our thanks to Elliot Friedman, the best storyteller in the game. Do we have any other guests?
Luke Fox.
Oh, Luke. Exactly. We just talked to Luke.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Luke
that's
Fox
my
Jukebox.
six concussions. My head's spinning. All right, thanks everybody for watching and listening. Download our podcast, give us a rating and review, and we're back tomorrow. Real Kyper and Bourne.
With great rates and value at Subaru's all